Happy Mother's Day to all you baby mamas out there. What's going on, everybody? This is the 5/14/23 live edition, Sunday night of the Living Dead. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody called their moms today, or their baby mamas. Hope everything's going well. So a special shout out, especially to my baby mama. She does a hard job, but she does a great job. I want her to know that. If she's watching, she's probably not. But if she is, shout out to you, girl. So yeah, I hope everybody's doing well tonight. Just hopping on here. Like I said, trying to do this. Trying to do this every Sunday that I can. There may be some that I can't, but it's enjoyable. I like just hopping on here and shooting the shit and seeing what everybody has to offer in terms of questions, topics. If you got anything you want to discuss, shoot me a comment here. See, I got a couple here already. Steve-O, what's up, my man? Straight Edge Zombie left a couple of comments here, but yeah, I'll get to these. There's a couple of questions here, but I'll get to them here in a second. But yeah, fun weekend. Went to a ball game last night here locally in Evansville. Celebrated Mother's Day today with Jade, my I call her my baby mama, but she's I guess the classier thing to say is the mother of my child. But yeah, pretty weekend went by fast, and here we are tonight. Back to work tomorrow. So let's chill tonight. Talk a little Romero, talk a little horror, whatever. Got my Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers mug. Got this first time I saw them live. It was 2011, 2010, 2012, somewhere around there. Got to see them twice before Tom passed away. That is probably my favorite musical act, group, band, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I don't know what other. Love Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. I discovered them a little later, probably in my early 20s or so. And it's one of those things that you bond with friends over. Tom Petty just became a huge part of my life. But before that, I mean, I was like Nirvana, when I was younger, Korn, that type of stuff. I grew up in the generation with the new metal. So I like it for what it is. But yeah, love Nirvana always. Silverchair was always a big favorite of mine. I like a little bit of everything though. I've played music in the past, been in some bands, done some different things. So yeah, I'm pretty eclectic. I'm pretty all over the place when it comes to music. Yeah. So anything going on in the world of Romero right now? Of course, Living Dead weekend's coming up. Here just a few weeks. It's going to be a big experiment for me in terms of the channel. Try to do live stream like this. Probably the nights of the convention that I can. Probably not Saturday night. I did. I'll try to hop on. I'm leaving early Sunday morning, so I don't want to stay up too late on Saturday. But they are having a screening of Martin at the Carnegie I don't know, one of the Carnegie theaters. I know Tony Boob is going to be involved in that, and it's $10 for a ticket. I was like, it's an opportunity to go see Martin on the big screen. I don't think it's, although it is interesting. I don't think that it's the black and white 2.5 hour cut, which would be amazing if everybody got there and then it was just like, hey, oh, this we're going to watch this instead. This is going to be the first time we're going to get to see this, so we're testing it on an audience or something. That's the fantasy, the wild, crazy fantasy that I have in my head. But I doubt it. The only thing that makes me think that it could be is that on the ticket, it's the time's scheduled for 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. So that's a 3 hour block there. And Martin, the film is only about an hour and a half. So I don't know if they're going to do a Q&A or something afterwards. I don't know who all's supposed to be there. It's not associated with Living Dead Weekend at all. It's something completely different, but I think they scheduled it on that weekend because they knew that there would be a lot of Romero fans in the area that weekend. So yeah, I'm going to be attending that. So I don't know how long that's going to be. So I don't know if I'll be able to hop on that night, but definitely Friday night after the first day of the convention, I'll hop on here for a live stream. And like I said, I'm going to be doing some live streams as well from locations. I'm trying to find some locations that I haven't been to yet. Some of the ones like the little train station from There's Always Vanilla. I know that still exists somewhere, but from what I hear, it's kind of hard to find. I'd love to track that down and go live from there. But the usual, the Evans City Cemetery. I always visit that when I go back to Pittsburgh. It looks pretty much the same as it did Night of the Living Dead, and I love Evans City. There's something about the town of Evans City. Pretty much the entire city is a shooting location for the Crazies. So if you've seen the Crazies as many times as I have, you kind of recognize everything that there is there, especially like in the downtown area, which that's pretty much all Evans City is. It's just kind of a downtown strip. Some cool little shops and stuff, and the neighborhoods around it are super cool. A lot of people are very aware of Night of the Living Dead was shot there, and its history and stuff. And of course, there's little markers in Evans City that it's kind of a tribute to George. But yeah, I just really, I've always liked visiting Evans City. A few times that I have. It's fun, and of course the cemetery is like right next to the town. Evans City from Monroeville is maybe an hour or so away, so it's a little drive, but it's nothing too bad. And then of course Braddock, I think that's about maybe 15-20 minutes away from Monroeville, so I plan on checking that out. Of course Braddock's where they shot Martin, and Tony Booba did a lot of his films, like Lightning Over Braddock, title. So planning on visiting that. I'm going to try to do my best to get as close to the airport or whatever's going on, if it's even still there. I have a feeling that if it had been torn down already, I would have heard about it from somebody somewhere. But I haven't heard that yet. I do know that they're doing the construction and stuff around it, getting ready to destroy it. I know you can't even get up to the building. I know last year, and this is bullshit, and I understand that there are people that think that it was somebody, but just to give you the story, I guess last year, the Living Dead weekend, the groundskeeper or whoever keeps up the area there around the airport, he was super cool, and he opened up the door to the airport, just said, go look around, take pictures, whatever you want to do. He was super cool about it. And I remember the first time we went, a couple of years ago, the first time we went to the airport, or maybe it was last year, because I think the first year the door was locked. We couldn't get in to the actual airport. But I think it was last year. The door was open, and I was just kind of walking up, peeping in, because I was like, I don't know, are you allowed to do this? And of course, I see him, he was mowing in the field next to it. And I saw him, I was like, I don't want him to raise any fuss or whatever. But he saw me kind of looking in, trying to get a glimpse. And he just looked at me, just kind of waved me in. Was just like, no, dude, go in. That's why it's open. So that was pretty cool. But unfortunately, that weekend, the airport was just destroyed. by somebody, a group of people, who knows. But I mean, the windows were smashed in, walls were kicked in. Um, I mean, it was. I mean, they did a number on it. And of course, I mean, we don't really, nobody knows who did it. Um, there's no. I don't know. I guess they haven't caught the culprits. But of course, people think like, oh, these people come into town and they get wild because they're crazy horror fans, and they sacrifice goats or whatever. Um, and somebody, I don't know if it was. It could have been. I'm not saying it wasn't, but and then again, it could have been some local kids in the neighborhood next to it that were like, "Oh, it's open. Let's go in there. Smoke crack, have sex, and fuck this place up," or whatever the kids do these days. I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna try to check that out. Looking forward to that. Um, so yeah, that's in a few weeks. I am working. I did tell this last night. I did a live stream on the Dead Pit channel last night. We did a watch along of Hell of the Living Dead, which which I actually like it. It is definitely a insanely, what's the word I'm looking for? But there's no shame in the fact that Bruno Mattei ripped Dawn of the Dead off for that movie, and I appreciate it. What the hell? I mean, they actually used the soundtrack from Dawn of the Dead, the Goblin theme. Um, I enjoy that movie, and it was a fun time last night. But I mentioned last night at the end of that stream that I'm working on a top 10 list, a new top 10. Working hard on it. It's a hard process because it takes a lot of research. I use a very scientific method to break down my definitive top 10 with these lists. And the next one I'm going to do is going to be the top 10 Romero villains. Um, so I'm not including zombies or monsters like Fluffy. I feel like when I say villain, I mean evil people. Um, uh, I feel like zombies and the monsters are just kind of victims of circumstance. I guess they're not. There's no malicious intent in what they're doing. Yeah, well, yeah. I guess I can say that. But yeah, top 10 villains. I'm working. I used. I was joking, by the way, about the hard work. I mean, it's just fun. It's mental masturbation. It's a good time. But yeah, I'm using three different criteria to kind of break down why I put so and so. And I think the list that I've come up with is gonna. I'm gonna be honest. It's gonna piss some people off because people are gonna be like, "What? What do you mean?" Like, I don't. I mean, if you give a shit about my opinion, it might piss you off. Um, but going off of performance from the actors, in the roles, evil meter. That's what I called it. I don't know what else to call it. How evil are these characters? And of course, you take into consideration, do they kill people? Are they tyrants? Are levels of evil are being taken into account there? And then the third category, I've been doing this all week, and I can't even remember what the third category is now. Evil meter, performance, and most satisfying death. So if you hated the character enough that by the end, when they finally got theirs, that you stood up and fucking applauded, that's probably going to score high on the satisfying death meter. So yeah, that'll be fun. Do a little experiment a little bit with the video, try some new things. But so yeah, I do got that coming out. Not exactly sure when yet. Still working on a few things, but yeah, got that coming up here soon as well. Let's see. What we got in the questions here? I don't think I have anything else to fart out of my head tonight. Let's just guess. So we had a question here. Straight Edge Zombie. How's it going, bud? Have you heard about the new Night of the Living Dead sequel? Yes, I have. I haven't. I've read a short article about it. Apparently, the Saska sisters, who I think are the ones that did that Rabid remake, the Cronenberg. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just the name Night of the Living Dead, of course, is, I'm guessing. I mean, they got the copyrights back somehow. I think with the Criterion version, there was some kind of agreement there, so they're making some kind of money off of it now. I mean, when I say they, I'm talking about Russ Streiner and John Russo. Um, but I guess the name's still just free to be used for whatever. I mean, you can just steal. I mean, God, how many Night of the Living Dead sequels and remakes and reboots and requels and whatever the fuck is out there? How many of those have been made already? I mean, you've had, of course, the Night of the Living Dead 30th Anniversary Edition, which was made by John Russo and Russ Streiner. So I don't really count that in the same way that I count, like, Night of the Living Dead 3D or Night of the Living Dead Reanimated or whatever that cartoon was called. I mean, at one point, a couple of years ago, I remember there was Night of the Living Dead 2. It's a fucking literal movie called Night of the Living Dead 2. Um, and I think they were going to have Laurie Cardill and Terry Alexander and Jarlath Conroy in it, reprising their roles from Day of the Dead. And somehow there was like a little teaser trailer for it. And I remember at Living Dead weekend that year, it was the they were doing Return of the Living Dead and Day of the Dead that year, so they had all the Day of the Dead people there. And they seemed to be promoting it pretty heavily. I mean, I'm talking about Laurie Cardill. I mean, I guess the actual filmmakers were there too promoting it, but Laurie Cardill and Terry Alexander and Jarlath Conroy, um, I mean, they were signing posters and talking it up. I remember Laurie Cardill being like, "Oh, have you heard about this yet?" I was like, "No, this is the first time I've heard of it." And she's like, "Oh, the guys that were doing it are really good guys, really good filmmakers, and yeah, I think you're really going to enjoy it." I was like, "Oh, okay." I mean, it is kind of cool, you know, uh, fan service or whatever to bring back those three characters, the survivors of Day of the Dead. But I don't know whatever happened to it. It just kind of disappeared. Uh, so I don't know if they were just trying to raise money to make it, and they just kind of shot a little teaser trailer to help raise the money, and then brought it to the convention, trying to get people interested. I'm not sure. I couldn't tell you, but yeah, I'm willing to bet, and I love, you know, Lori and Terry and Jarlath to death. I mean, even at conventions. I mean, the one of the nicest people I've ever met at a convention in general was Lori Cardill. I mean, she asked me more questions than I asked her. I mean, you know, so those are always the best guests to go to. But yeah, so this new one, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's supposed to be like a series or what it is. Like I don't remember right off the top of my head. Um, but all I know is I don't give a shit. I just don't. I'm so in general franchise movies and shit. Like when the last Scream 5 came out, not the most recent one, but the one before that. When it came out, I went to see it because it'd been a while. We hadn't had a Scream film in a decade at that point or whatever. Um, I went to see it and I enjoyed it for what it was. I mean, that we haven't had one in a while, and it was just kind of revisiting these characters, and it's like, oh, this is kind of nice. Oh, it's Dewey, he's still crippled or whatever, And oh, Nev Campbell, well, she got so old. It is nostalgia, and they kind of put a little modern twist on it, and I kind of enjoyed that aspect of it. But this last one, goddamn, Scream 6, that was one of the worst movies I've seen in quite a while. It was bad, just bad. And I haven't seen the new Evil Dead yet. I've heard conflicting things. I have a feeling that I wouldn't like it that much, just from certain people that I've heard that have seen it. Um, so I don't really. I mean, if at some point I might check it out, but I'm not in any rush, to be honest. What else have I seen lately? I'm surprised I haven't done any more like Nightmare on Elm Street. Friday the 13th or something. I don't know what the deal is with those. Um, but I'm sure they're coming at some point. They're going to do something with it. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know, man. Night of the Living Dead sequel. This is a pretty good one here from Steve O. Do you think DVD will ever make a comeback like VHS has? I don't think so, but I think it will come back. I mean, I've still purchased DVDs for quite a bit of money just for the collector in me. Um, I just completion, especially like the Romero stuff. I mean, I spent some pretty good money, especially like the Arrow, like the Martin Arrow and the Day of the Dead Arrow. I think the Day of the Dead is a Blu-ray, but the Martin is a DVD, and I think I just bought that for like $50 or $60 or something like that, ridiculous. So I think there'll always be kind of a market for the older boutique label DVDs. I know Anchor Bay. I'd love to try to collect all the Anchor Bays. It's starting to storm outside, so. Um, but yeah, I'd love to hunt down all the Anchor Bay DVDs. I still have a shitload of them. It took me a while. I was kind of one of the last holdouts on Blu-ray and 4K and all that. So I was just like, I got the fucking DVDs. If I want to watch them in high def, I'll watch them on Amazon or whatever. But I have the DVDs, and the DVDs are fine. But I think there'll always be a market for those type of DVDs. But I mean, the DVDs of like, I mean, the Saw DVDs and shit. I mean, those will be you can get all of those for like $5 at a pawn shop right now. I don't think those. And I mean, of course, VHS tapes at one point you couldn't give away. Now I just sold one the other day for $50. A fucking VHS tape. And I think a lot of it's nostalgia. I think a lot of it. I don't know if we'll have the same nostalgia for DVD as we did VHS. I don't know. Maybe the generation previous, but I know some younger film buffs and horror fans and shit, and I don't feel like they have much of a nostalgia for DVDs, which is kind of the way that they saw the movies. They're way more into the Blu-rays and 4Ks and boutique labels like that now. So I don't know. I don't think there'll be that nostalgia for DVDs like there is now for VHS. I just think there's something about VHS tapes. It's the artwork on the boxes, going into video stores and seeing all the VHS tapes on the walls. I mean, God, I love the little mom and pop video stores back in the day that had just all the old VHS tapes that that they've had for God knows how long, probably since they came out. And I remember renting those, and they're worn down, and they're just gritty. I don't know. There's something nostalgic about that. I don't feel like there's a nostalgia that's going to build from DVDs. I just don't. They're just Blu-rays but lesser quality. Whereas when we had DVDs, it was like, oh, what an upgrade from VHS. This is a whole other thing, a whole other technology. This is on a disc, and you can fit all this other shit on there. So yeah, I don't think so. I think there'll always be a market for like the rare out of print boutique DVDs, but I just don't. I don't think people will be really going out of the way to spend a lot of money on them, like they are VHS tapes now for whatever reason. I don't know. Um, but again, I'm guilty of that as well. Um, I mean, I paid some pretty good money for some VHS tapes. I don't know what would be the most expensive one that I've bought. But just because they're rare, old, or they hold most of the time, it is nostalgia. They hold some kind of sentimental purpose with me. Like it was like, oh, I discovered this movie when I rented this VHS tape, this exact distributor and all that shit. So I don't know. I don't think so. So yeah, this is the one I was trying to think of a minute ago. The new Exorcist that's coming out. I think they had like a test screening or something here recently in New York, and apparently it didn't go well. So, which I'm not shocked by. Um, but I will say that hearing that it didn't play well originally. I mean, unless the studio just goes in now and changes a bunch of shit, and which is more than likely what they're going to do because that's how they do it. Unless David Gordon Green has the final say on everything. But I have a feeling that that's not going to happen. But I mean Hearing that though made me more interested in checking it out because that was the reason why I watched Halloween Ends for the first time originally because I was not a fan of the first Halloween that came out in 2018. I'm not a fan of movies that are trying to be something that they can't, if that makes any sense. I mean, I understand, and it's hard for me. And even if they're not, that's not their end goal. That's not what they want to do. That's how I go into it. That's the mindset I go into it with. And I try not to, but it's really hard. I mean, goddamn, when there's a movie being shown in a theater called Dawn of the Dead, I can't. I that's my all-time favorite film. I can't if I'm going into it already judging it by the title that it carries. You can't just like, oh, just enjoy it for what it is because a lot of people enjoy that Dawn of the Dead remake. I'm not one of them, and it's not even, and I'm not a good person to get the opinion of because I'm such a fan of the original, and I think that's fair. Um, if they, it's like if they remade Jaws and made Jaws a robot, the shark is a fucking robot. Robot shark has whatever, and just changed it up to make it more flashy and exciting for the young kids. It's a robot. It's a shark that can transform into a robot and fly and fucking drop missiles on. That's what that Dawn of the Dead remake felt like to me. Um, but I'm not the person you should ask because I'm very very biased, and I'll admit that. Um, the Exorcist though, I don't really have much of a I mean, I really like the original, The Exorcist. It's a fantastic movie, but it's not one that I just can watch over and over again. I really like Part Three. Exorcist Three was really good, and those are the only two Exorcist films I've actually watched. I've heard such bad things about The Exorcist Two that maybe I should check it out just to fucking see what's so bad about it. But I've just heard such bad things about it. I haven't made it a priority to watch that one yet. But this new one, I mean, but like I was saying, so yeah, the original Halloween that David Gordon Green did, I was not the biggest fan of because I'm a huge fan of the original Halloween, so it's hard to compare the two. Halloween Kills, I was not a fan of either. I thought that was just, I don't know, dumb. Um, so when Halloween Ends came out, and all I heard was, "Oh man, this is horrible. It's the worst fucking movie ever made." So I went into it with really low expectations, and I watched it. I wasn't even planning on watching. I was just like, you know what? This just isn't for me. I'm not going to enjoy any of these movies. These movies aren't made for me. That's fine. But when I kept hearing how bad it was, just the morbid curiosity that um, I had to check it out. So I went in with really low expectations, and as the movie was going on, I was like, this is not at all what I was expecting it to be. Um, and I think that's why I enjoyed it more than the other ones. It was something completely different, and I know most people didn't like it. They're not gonna like it, but I think over time, I think it will find an audience. I'm maybe um, because there is a lot of interesting stuff. Um, it's not right out front for you just to rub your nose in it and say this is what we're saying or this is what we're doing, but it's subtle and there's some interesting stuff in Halloween Ends. Um, it tries to in a very what's the word I'm looking for? It tries to explain a lot of the Michael Myers lore in a very behind the curtain kind of way, like the mental what's going on in Michael's mind type of thing. Um, but it's not the greatest movie ever. It's not the best Halloween. It's not even the best Halloween uh, sequel or whatever you want to call it. But I enjoyed it way more than I expected to. So that's why I'm kind of like, well, I mean, if it's like a consensus, because that's kind of how you know I feel like Texas Chainsaw is that way. Some people are just that movie sucks. I don't like it. It's not any good. And then there's some people that are just that's the greatest film ever made. Um, so those are the movies that I kind of like, the ones that are divisive. like that. So I don't know. Maybe it's divisive. Yeah, maybe it's shitty. I don't. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But I'm kind of interested to see what they're doing with it. Um, so I guess we'll see. Um, you can see the lightning and everything, but it's starting to storm pretty good. It's been teasing it all weekend, so I don't know why. It's just starting now. Um, let's see. Any other bullshit I want to talk about? I don't know. Any ideas? Kind of just chilling tonight. Didn't really have much of a plan. Top 5 evil mothers in horror. That's a good one. I mean, Mother's Day. I mean, but covers a lot of ground. Mommy Dearest and God, where do we even start? Carrie, Piper Laurie, and Carrie is one of the best, villains in any movie. Hell, Piper Laurie in Argento's Trauma. She was a villain in that as well. I guess Piper Laurie's kind of typecast as the evil mother. Um, I don't know. Would you consider what's her face from Nightmare on Elm Street to be kind of evil? I guess in a way, maybe, but I don't know if I'd put her in my top 5. Let's think about Romero specific. So let's. I mean, what mothers are in? Because I feel like there's quite a guy. The first one that comes to mind is the mother from Monkey Shines. And I didn't even think she was evil, really. Just a little overbearing and then not really understanding how to handle her son's situation. Let's see. I guess we could just go with bitchy mothers, or just mothers in general. Because I mean, Fran, mother, mother to be, Dawn of the Dead. Was she a bad mom? Good mom? I don't know. She may turn out to be a good mom, but when she was pregnant, she was smoking quite a bit, and I think drinking, if I remember correctly, in a few scenes. But I guess hell at that point when the whole world's falling apart around you, I mean, it's like shit. I mean, I may not even, what can you do? I may not even survive long enough to be a mother. So, what the hell? Let's have a few. Let's have a drink. Smoke. Jan White, Season of the Witch, Jack's wife. I wouldn't call her an evil mother, but she's a witch. Of course, Helen Cooper, good mom. She tried. She just wanted to keep her daughter safe. And she ended up getting stabbed to death by her in the end. So that kind of sucks. Let's see. I remember somebody. I can't remember who it was. It was on a commentary or something like that. But I think George is in. Who said it? I don't even know. It may have been George himself. But he named Laurie Cardill's character in Day of the Dead Sarah. As a reference, I guess Sarah is like the mother of existence or something like that. There's some kind of connection there because she was kind of the last survivor trying to keep the world going. I don't know. I can't think of any other. Of course, the grandmother and the crazies with the fucking knitting needle. Oh yeah, there was what's her name? And the crazy, she's pregnant as well, and then she gets shot. That's rough. There's a lot of stuff in the crazies if you think about it. There's a lot of rough shit in that movie. But I think the way George does it is tasteful and classy enough that he can get by with it without just turning into just filth. It's like in the crazy. I mean, the pregnant mother gets shot. Kids one's burned to death, and the other one's Scott Burns, um, fucking Richard Liberty's character, and Lynn Lowry, the father daughter thing that goes on there. Yeah, I mean, there's some pretty rough shit in the Crazies, but I guess it doesn't. I mean, it wasn't, you know, exploitive in the way that a lot of low budget horror films were at the time, like that. um, yeah, I mean, I'm sure I'm missing a bunch. I haven't been brainstorming on this, so I wasn't expecting. I'm trying to think. What else are some bad one? Of course, the Mother from Creep Show. Um, this is Grantham. Was she a mother? Yeah, his wife. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know, man. You tell me. You tell me. Top 5 evil mothers in horror. Of course, first one. I mean, I'm just thinking like wire hangers. No more wire hangers. But well, anyway, Amy Madigan though in the Dark Half. I just watched the Dark Half again here recently because I mentioned it a few times as being probably one of my least favorite Romero films. And it's not a bad film. I think just the reason that I'm not a huge fan of the Dark Half, it doesn't feel like a George film. It feels like a Stephen King movie, basically, like your typical, late '80s, early to mid '90s Stephen King movies that were just coming out all over the place. That's what it feels like to me. And so I guess there's just not enough George in that. I mean, it was shot in Pittsburgh. Christine Romero's in it. David Early's in it. There's a lot of George's fingerprints are definitely on that film. Just like I said, it feels a lot like a Stephen King movie to me, but it is not a bad film. But Amy Madigan's character in that, she's a mother of twins, I think. So she's a pretty badass mom. But yeah, I don't know, man. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't know. I've been going on about 40 minutes now. Like I said, didn't really have too many topics or anything in mind tonight. Just want to hop on here once a week, update what's coming up. I guess I've dropped that Crazies commentary earlier this week. And man, I tried. I don't understand. I tried to get the video on there with it. I don't understand why I kept getting copyright, just getting it blocked for copyright reasons. I tried any bunch of different ways that I could think of to try to get the actual Crazies video with the audio commentary track. But I mean, I guess it's commentary track. It's one of my favorite commentaries that George did. Of course, it was done by Blue Underground 2002. It was like a 2003 release. But it's one of my favorites that he did because it's him and Bill Lustig. And of course, Bill Lustig did Maniac Cop, Uncle Sam, filmmaker in his own right. And Maniac's one of my all-time. I thought about it. I think Maniac probably, I would say, is my favorite slasher film of that time period, that early '80s period. I just love Joe Spinell in that movie. It's just there's something about it. It feels European almost, even though it was filmed in New York. And I know he originally wanted, instead of Carolyn Monroe, he wanted Daria Nicolodi to play the role that Caroline Monroe played in Maniac. So maybe they were going for a bit of an Italian flavor in that film. I'm not sure, but love that movie, and I love just sitting there listening to, Lustig and George just talk about independent filmmaking, and that's what a lot of that is. It's just two filmmakers talking about the business of guerrilla filmmaking. Because I mean that's what Maniac was. I mean Maniac I think was made for a couple $100,000 or something like that. So yeah, but I tried to get the video included on there, but YouTube would not let me. It gave me a copyright strike from some channel that exists that doesn't. I don't understand. I'm not exactly sure how it works. The YouTube regulations, who can apply for a copyright strike or how it works, but it doesn't make any sense because there is another version of the Crazies. The version that I was trying to use, I pulled from YouTube because there's a version of the Crazies already available on YouTube, but it wouldn't let me. I don't know how it works, folks, but I got the audio out there for you to listen to while you're at work or driving down the road. It's fascinating conversation, fascinating discussions by George and Bill Lustig. Um, then of course I put up Night of the Living Bread, which we watched last week. Um, just just to put it up. I got some other things. I'm planning on post here soon. Like I said, I'm also going to be doing the top 10 Romero villains. That's going to be a pretty fun video. I got planned coming up here soon. Um, like I said, did the Dead Pit, Hell of the Living Dead commentary with a pretty good size. It's 6 other guys, of course, CK, Uncle Bill, the main guys from Dead Pit. There's also Ryan Atkins, Phantasm Matt, Stuntman Mark. I think all those guys have YouTube channels. Look them up. Um, who else was there? Dana was there. I know I can think of what her last name or her YouTube channel would be, but yeah, it was fun. It's available on the Dead Pit channel if you want to go check it out. Like I said, I love that movie. And I think they're doing a thing for this month. They're doing the worst zombie films ever ever made, and that could be a comprehensive list that could take hours and hours and hours, and that could be a series. Um, but the one that I don't know if anybody, if you guys have heard of this film, let me know in the comments. It's called Zombie 90 Extreme Pestilence, and I think on Wikipedia it's listed as Zombie 7 as well, but it has nothing to do. I don't know. I think they just threw that on Wikipedia for some reason. But it is the worst, but in the same way, one of the best zombie films I've ever seen. It's so bad, and the dubbing is the acting's terrible. The gore is over the top, silly. It's just it's the cheapest, shittiest German zombie film from the early '90s that you'll ever see. But the dubbing, I don't know who they got to dub this shit. I don't know if it was intended to be funny or if I don't know. I don't know, but it's fucking brilliant. The dubbing of the characters alone is is brilliant. Check it out if you haven't seen it. I'm guessing most people haven't. But first time I saw it, I rented it on. It was on a DVD. There was another. Excuse me. Shit, losing my voice. There's another DVD that I rented. There was a little video store. It was mostly a tanning salon, but they had DVDs and shit to rent at the time. This is probably early 2000s. But there was a DVD called Zombie Doom available, and of course I was at the point of where I'd watch anything with zombies in it. Zombie in the title, I'll watch it. So I rented this and I started watching the Zombie Doom version of the film, and I was like, this is just bad. I'm not even interested in watching this. This is terrible, you know. But there was a special features portion of the disc, which included this other zombie film called Zombie 90 Extreme Pestilence. And I was like, well, let me give this a shot. Fuck, my weekend shot. I was looking forward to, watching a movie, whatever. Turn it on, and I was in tears, laughing the entire time. It was one of the most fun times. I have watched this with multiple friends, family members. I mean, it is often quoted amongst my family and friends. It's one of the most quotable zombie movies you'll ever see, for all the wrong reasons. And I was in tears. And every time that I've watched it with other people, it's been we're just on the floor dying laughing. It's one of the funniest, worst movies you'll ever see. I mean, it makes Ed Wood look like Orson Welles. Um, it's fucking amazing. I haven't watched it in a long time. I did see that it's available on YouTube, so I might check it out again, watch it again here, just because it's on my mind. But yeah, check it out, Zombie 90 Extreme Pestilence. One of the worst and best films you'll ever see. Um, but yeah, there's so many out there, and especially like right after Dawn of the Dead came out, there was that period where you had like Hell of the Living Dead, Nightmare City. I mean, a lot of these coming out of of Italy in European countries that were just straight up ripoffs of Dawn of the Dead. But like I said, at least Hell of the Living Dead had the balls to just go full bore. We're gonna use the soundtrack. We're gonna use fucking everything we got. There's a SWAT team of 4 guys. They're dressed just like Peter and Roger, and they have we pointed out last night. They have there's these funny little hats, I guess, that look like train conductor hats or something. I don't know, but it's just one of the fucking weirdest, entertaining movie. I mean, it's bad, but it's entertaining at least. But I mean, you have like Zombie Lake coming out around that time. God damn, it's starting to come down. Shit. Anyway, so yeah, we had like Zombie Lake. Of course, the Fulci stuff. I don't think is on the level that I'm talking about. I'm talking about just like bad, just silly films. Like Nightmare City is another one that I really liked. I remember renting that for the first time on VHS at this little mom and pop place. It was called City of the Walking Dead. And it was just I love cheesy Italian horror films in general. And that's one that I also really enjoy. I just bought that on I think it was Arrow that did it. It was a Blu-ray from overseas, came out a while back. Just bought that here recently when I was at Grindhouse Video down in Knoxville, Tennessee. That's a place if you're a horror fan. If you're ever in that area, you got to stop. Grindhouse Video, check it out. But yeah, just pick that up, and I love that film. One of the loudest outbursts of laughter I've ever experienced in my life is probably the end of the movie when they're trying to when they're climbing up the roller coaster trying to escape the zombies, and the zombies in this film are just like people but with like clay plastered to their head or something. I don't know. And I guess they drink blood instead of eating flesh. So they're original. They are fast too. They run, So I guess maybe they may have been the first fast zombies in horror film because this was 5 years prior to Return of the Living Dead, and I can't think of any other movies that had fast moving zombies in them. But that's another fun one, Nightmare City. But like I was saying, the end of the movie, they're climbing up the roller coaster trying to escape, and the helicopter's flying over. They drop the ladder, and they're trying to, or I think it's just a rope actually. They're trying to climb the rope up to the helicopter to escape the zombies. And the woman, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen this, 33-year-old movie yet, the woman as she's climbing, she falls from the helicopter and just hits. There's the funniest fucking scene. She hits one of the bars on the roller coaster, boom, and it's the most obvious dummy like fall. But it's one thing. Like, yeah, there's some iffy dummy work in Dawn of the Dead, but the thing that puts this over the top, and I think I might close the night on this one. The thing that puts this one over the top is the dubbed screaming that's taking place as this dummy is falling and bouncing off of one bar after another, and it's just like bong, and just like but it's just like it's the silliest shit you'll ever see. Oh man. But yeah, Nightmare City is a great one. I mean, there's like I said, there's so many bad zombie films out there that but I mean, sometimes like I said with Zombie 90 or Nightmare City or Hell of the Living Dead, I love the ones that are so bad they're good. But there are plenty out there that are just so bad they're fucking bad. You know, or want to watch them ever again. I'd put the Dawn of the Dead remake in that category. You know the thing about that though, the Dawn remake, and like I said, I'm not the person to ask because I am biased as all hell about Dawn of the Dead. But I think the thing that irks me the most about the fact that there's a Dawn of the Dead remake is anytime that I tell people like I have if you can see a Dawn of the Dead tattoo that I promised myself that I would get the day I turned 18, and I did. It's one of the only tattoos I got. I don't have a lot of tattoos. I have 3, but Dawn of the Dead is one of them. But when people see that, or I say, "Oh yeah, I love my favorite movie is Dawn of the Dead," most people think of the fucking remake now, and they're like, "Oh yeah, man, Ving Rhames rules," or "Oh yeah, the one where they're fucking lightning fast and they're fucking shoo, shoo, shoo." And oh yeah, that movie's awesome. I love the ending with the fucking Disturbed soundtrack, man. Like that movie ends with the fucking end credit sequence in that movie is Down with the Sickness by Disturbed. That's a decision as a filmmaker that that's a filmmaking decision that a fucking 12-year-old kid would make. Like, what a cool fucking movie, man. I love this fucking song, man. Down with the Sickness. I don't know, man. Shit irks me. I will say this, the first 15 minutes of Dawn of the Dead, I did enjoy because it wasn't trying to be, they weren't at the mall and trying to do the Dawn of the Dead thing yet. But, whenever seeing that, I think they played it on like the USA Network or something on a Tuesday night in between episodes of Law and Order and whatever the hell else was on at the time. And I remember liking that a lot. And of course, it shows that first few minutes and then it cut away. It's like, oh, don't forget to go see Dawn of the Dead. So yeah, when I saw that, I was like, okay, I'm kind of into this. This might be pretty good. And I'm just going to go on and on here about this Dawn of the Dead remake. It's stuff that I've been holding in. Because most people are like, oh, you mean the one that came out, not that long ago with Ving Rhames? I'm like, no, there's one before that I like better. But I'm very polite about it. But this is my channel and my live stream, and fuck it, I'm gonna get into it because why not? I'm about to be blown away by a damn tornado here in a second, anyway. So. But of course, once after the first 15 minutes, it plays Johnny Cash, Man Comes Around. Great song, great sequence. And I guess we're supposed to believe that when Sarah Polly's character wrecks the car and is knocked out, the montage sequence with Johnny Cash that happens in between that and her waking up magically in front of a mall, which is fucking retarded. I guess we're supposed to think that all the world is just completely collapsed and she's been knocked out for weeks. I don't fucking know. I don't know, man. It's just stupid. I had to rein myself in here. I wouldn't plan on doing this, but but fuck it, let's do it. And then they get to the mall. Which somehow she's magically in front of, and there's, and they're just wandering around. Apparently there's not a lot of zombies around yet. Even though we just watched a montage where everything was falling apart, and apparently, I don't know. Maybe they haven't made their way to the mall yet, but I don't know. And then we meet this whole band of characters that are just more unlikable, one after another. There's this pregnant lady, and the dude from 8 Mile is in it, and there's every stereotype of character you could think of in a modern film. There's the guy that's like, oh, this is stupid. Why are we doing? Where's the coffee? And he's the asshole that nobody likes. And there's the friendly old man, and then there's this character. There's the young kid who's and then there's these security guards who are still talking about how hot a woman is or something that they saw at Dairy Queen, and it's just like, what the fuck is this? Like, there's no reason for this to even exist. I mean, even if it is well made in a lot of aspects in terms of being an action film, sure. But call it something else. Like, goddamn. Anyway. I'm not a fan of remakes in general, to be honest with you. There's very few that I like. So, again, I'm biased. I'm probably not the person. If you like the Dawn of the remake, there's a million reasons I can understand why. But I don't know. I just can't, man. I just can't. I can't. I do like I was talking about Maniac earlier. I did really like the Maniac remake that they did with fuck, what was his name? The Hobbit. Oh my god, it's blanking on me. The dude's in everything. Elijah Wood. I did like that. I thought that kind of the vibe of that film kind of was like an updated vibe of the original Maniac, which I kind of liked. It was a very European feeling movie. So I like that one quite a bit, and I'm sure there's a couple others that I'm just not thinking of. But yeah, that Dawn remake though, I don't know, man. Just rambling at this point. It's fine. It's fine for what it is. But yeah, I don't know. I guess that's gonna do it for tonight. I've been on going on about an hour now. So I stopped in, check out the stream. Appreciate you watching. Appreciate the few questions got here tonight. Like I said, just like to hop on once a week. Sunday night seems to be a pretty good night to do it for me. It's a good way to kind of unload everything from the week and get my brain farts and thoughts out there. Because you know, I like talking about this shit. Um, but yeah, like I said, got the top 10 Romero villains coming up here soon. That video is going to drop. Aiming to get it out this week. Um, so there's that. The list is finalized. Like I said, it's the definitive list. Gone through with a fine tooth comb. Very scientific formula on how I came up with this top 10. Um, so look forward to that. And I got other archival Romero stuff that I plan on dropping here soon, and of course, Living Dead Weekend coming up in a few weeks. So you're going to be seeing my ass a lot that week. And hey, if you're at Living Dead Weekend, you see me wandering around with my backpack and hey, I'm at the Minerva Malls. You see me, fucking geeking out or whatever. Come up, say hi. You know, like I said, I'll be in town. Uh, I'll probably, yeah, I'm planning on being there. I'm probably leaving early Thursday morning, so I'll be there probably Thursday night, leaving early Sunday morning. Not staying as long as I would like to, but you know, gotta do what you gotta do. But anyway, that's gonna do it for me. Hope you guys have a great rest of the week, and all the baby mamas out there, happy Mother's Day. And until next time, I'll see you. And as always, stay scared. And we're out.